Thank you for joining us today. Anything you hear in this podcast is not to be taken for medical advice. This podcast is for information purposes only, and should you find something interesting in the information spoken about, please consult your physician further.
In your name I pray. Amen.
Amen.
Hello, welcome to the Broken Road podcast. It's Trent. Today I got my wife and best friend Amber with me. It's been a long time coming. We've tried to do this a couple times to no avail. Seems like something happens every time and shuts us down. We've really had this fight to get to this point. So bear with us today. We're going to do our best. We're going to talk about change. That is going to be the subject for today. So we've had a lot of change over the last year, and a lot of change in the last 20 years that we've been together. So I got something on my face. That's about right. Mm-hmm. Well, so for anybody that doesn't know us and is just now tuning in, can you tell us a little bit about you, who you are, where you came from, how we got here?
Yeah, let's see.
Maybe not how we got here.
Yeah,
that's a
I grew up in McKinney, where I graduated high school. Before I was finished with my diploma from McKinney High, I went on to massage school. So I've been a therapist for 28 years and an instructor for 25 years. I would say we moved out towards Stephenville 20 years ago, 18 years ago. We've been in this house. That was a big change for us. And then becoming parents at 37 and 40 was another big change, especially when you're kind of on the roll of not being parents. It was the best thing ever. So with that came a change of wanting to be home and stay-at-home mom until River got old enough to go into school. And not too long after that, COVID happened, which was a huge change for all of us. And during COVID, Trent had our business going where he did a lot of construction work, excavation style, and had just gotten into some general contracting. And I'd always enjoyed when I had my spa, doing the retail area for every season, and thought, man, I'd always enjoyed going into design of some sort. My idea when I got into massage school was that I was going to go into art school, and it was just going to be a way to, have an easy schedule and still make money and support myself, but then go on to art school. So I never in a million years thought it'd actually be able to happen. But with all the couch time we were all getting during COVID, I decided to go on and get my interior design license from the New York Institute of Art and Design. So it kind of worked out with the business that Trent already had going, and a way for us to kind of, put all of our eggs together and really make something happen. And then, of course, this stroke was not our plan, but God's plan. And that was another huge change in ways that were good and bad, to be honest. I think it was all God's will for multiple things. And we're in a time of change right now to decide, where we're going to go from here. And I'm very blessed that I have an opportunity to figure out what that is over this summertime. And after finishing up with that last commercial job we did, that I'm able to and enjoy the summer with River and Trent, because we kind of missed that last year with us being in the hospital. Here we are now.
Thank you. I think she left some stuff out. So I kind of made some notes for what we were going to talk about today, just to go over it really quick before we get to the dirt and the nitty gritty on the conversation today. I put in here, over the years, we've had a lot of change. You've worn a lot of hats. And I feel you've been successful at all of them. So She kind of downplays how well she's done. And she's done it well under a lot of duress. There's been multiple things. God is constantly testing us. She's been a student massage therapist. She's also a trainer in massage therapy, and continues her CEUs on that stuff. She was in spa management before she moved on to be the owner of Successful Spa. It won multiple awards here in Stephenville. Then she became a mother. That was probably our biggest and her biggest success, and still is to this day. She's a very good mommy to River, and I'm very proud of that. And as she mentioned, now she has branched out to interior design as well, and contracting builds, which I don't think was either one of our plan to begin with, that you would ever do that by yourself. Because we always said I was the sticks in the bricks, and you were the pretty. Mm-hmm. So a lot of times we would go to build things. I knew what it would look like. I knew what the structure was going to look like. I knew where the walls would sit. I knew where the sink was. I knew where the cabinet sit. I knew where all that was, but I had no idea what it was going to look like from the inside looking out, or even what the outside was going to look like. Final product. I could just tell you structurally, this is what it was going to do. And she does very well at that. Still does in our home and in her business. So that was my introduction for Amber. She's more than awesome and more than capable of doing multiple things. And she probably proved it more than ever I would have ever asked her to this year and last year through the stroke. So congratulations on finishing your build, and thank you for being the resilient person that you are.
Thank you. You did put together, I helped you with pulling the budget together and getting quotes and stuff, but you did give me a schedule that I found out way later in the project, almost a month to the end, that I was never really supposed to keep, especially with all the changes and as-builts that we had with that project, but was able to complete it in less than a year's time, and it was a big project. So
yeah, there were a lot of moving parts.
Yeah, so you did have your, you did set me up with, dirt and like all the things, like I had the structure of what it needed to be, but definitely had to fill the box for sure. Yeah. So thank you. And while we're talking about it, you've had a lot of changes since we've been together. Your family's kind of always either been in the tire business or in construction, and you always worked with them. But even while I think you were trying to just kind of find your identity, because we've been together for a long time and friends since we were in our early 20s, and me in my teens. Gosh, you've done metal work. You've done AV, audio, video. You've done setups. You've done, concerts. You've done lighting. You've done,
Full construction, steel,
detail work.
Steel.
Yeah. So, and since we've been together, if you ever reached a moment where you were just really unhappy, I've always just said, change it. Like, change it. If you don't like what it is, only you can change it, and only you know when you've had enough and you're ready to move on to something different. And I always wanted you to do what made your heart happy, because if you're not truly happy, every day doing what you're doing, like, it really is like, what's that saying where it's like, if you love what you do, then you never work a day in your life,
right?
Something like that. And I think that is definitely true. And, sometimes it's tough to make the decision of, well, I went to college for this and I spent all the money on this, but it truly doesn't make my heart happy. And you have to make that choice, for yourself and nobody else,
So I think what you're saying, what I'm gathering from it, and the way I believe, and I think we run that way, is change is not necessarily a bad thing. Sometimes it's pretty hard.
It can be tough.
And it's really hard to see through some of those things whenever it's happening in the moment, to see God's plan. And I really do feel like I've mentioned it a couple times, that I don't feel like we had our focus exactly where it needed to be. God wasn't in the center of our lives. You're going to hear me say that over and over because he got a hold of me. I'm full of surrender now. And I want other people to have that same experience and know what that's like, to have him at the center of their life. But I think the change is hard with or without, much harder without God in your life and to have that him to go to. So I'm kind of jumping a little bit around there, but I did have on here Isaiah 43:18 through 19. Says, forget the former things, do not dwell on the past. See, I am doing a new thing. Now it springs up. Do you not perceive it? I am making a way in the wilderness and streams in the wasteland. So, when I read that, I think back of all these times. It's hard not to look back. It says, don't dwell on the former things. I think we do have to kind of remember some things.
I think you learned from your past.
That's right.
Right.
I do. But I don't think you dwell on it. I think that's where you kind of get hung up and you get stuck in a loop of, and afraid to step out and try something new and afraid of new change.
Yeah, and I think that's just having a strong faith in God and a faith in yourself that you can do the hard things, and that there's going to be a lot of hard things, but usually through the hard things, you'll come out better on the other side.
For sure. So, we've been blessed to go through a lot of crazy changes that I think we'll still kind of touch on as we're going through this discussion today. Some that are pretty uncomfortable to discuss, but I think it's important for people to know that we're just like anybody else. So even though it seems like that we have everything together while we're able to sit here right now, that doesn't mean that 15, 20 minutes before that camera was turned on, that we weren't sitting here stressing over a sign that was behind us or whatever, something silly. And I believe that the enemy comes to do that and can wreck something that's going to be really good when you don't have God in the center. So I'm getting off point. We're talking about change, but basically I did want to say that we're not perfect either. So we're going to go through some things and talk about change in our life.
Mm-hmm. I actually wanted to share a quote from Maya Angelou that I've always kind of lived by, not realizing that she had something out there. But if you don't like something, change it. If you can't change it, then you have to change your attitude about it, which is so, so true. And sometimes when you change your attitude about something, you recognize that it wasn't what you perceived it to be. It's just, it can be an eye opener on a lot of different things. And I think through us talking today, that'll kind of become like more enlightened about what that means.
Yeah, no, I agree. Currently still dealing with a lot of stuff in aftermath, deficits from the stroke, stuff that we're going through, still fighting through some changes. I'm personally still struggling with that change. And I think that says a lot. I could sit here and dwell on it. Some things I'm just going to have to accept that they are what they are. And be happy with that, because I do have a lot of friends that weren't as lucky as I am, that are dealing with way bigger issues. And I have to remind myself of that daily.
And that's you're on this side of the dirt.
Absolutely. Yeah. That's every morning that I wake up.
Yeah.
That's the first part of my prayer.
Yeah.
Is thanking God for another breath and another chance to watch the sunrise.
Yeah.
To see my family, love them.
So even though when you set out on your day that you're going to have a certain task that you're going to conquer that day, it might take you, what used to take you, 2 hours might not take you all day, but then you have to change your attitude about it and say, well, at least I'm here to do it. You know, I might have struggled through it all day long, and I might have had to take a nap in between, and I might have had to go get a special tool, you know, whatever it is, but you change your attitude about it, and then it becomes, you know, something different, something positive. You have to change it to something positive, or you're never going to make it through life in general.
So a little background on us. River was born on May 25th, 2017. We went through had a plan for a natural childbirth, had a midwife team. I mean, thought we had it all figured out. God had another plan, same as he did, thinking that we had it figured out before we had River. I mean, we were kind of like, we were living our best life at that point. We thought all of our friends had kids that have now gone and graduated, and we've been to all their graduations, and we have a 8-year-old. But God gifted us with River on 5/25 of 17.
Mm-hmm. And he was 3 weeks early.
That's right.
He had decided that he was not going to turn down. I did all the yoga poses and, you know, acupressure and like all the things, and he just wasn't. And my body just didn't have enough fluid around him. So when they tried to turn him, and I was already kind of preeclampsia, so my blood pressure spiked that afternoon, and they were like, well, we can just take him, you know, because Fort Worth's about an hour and a half from our home. And I don't think I said anything for a day after that, because it was just like, you have to just, you know, kind of go into yourself and like, this has to happen, and I can't think about it anything different than I just want him to be okay. And regardless of, I mean, and it took me a couple years to kind of change my thought that yes, it was traumatic, and yes, it wasn't my plan, but you know, God had me, and River was perfect, and yeah.
He was, and they had told us through that process, and I want to share these things because there's going to be young adults having children. They're going to go through experiences, and those things, that's just hard when you start talking about your child and that. And they had told us that, you know, there was a chance that there was going to be some things wrong with him.
Yeah. And I had a geriatric pregnancy, which no woman wants to hear. If anything past 35, I think they still consider that. And everybody joked with me about it.
Yeah, I'm sorry. It wasn't funny. It was kind of funny.
But I mean, it was nerve-wracking to hear that, you know, he might have some, you know, health problems. And we were prepared for whatever that was, and had some other friends that had, you know, a child with Down syndrome and loved Micah, and we were prepared for whatever God had plans for us.
Absolutely. He came out perfect. I remember crying and seeing for the first time, and that was a huge change. We were talking about change. That was a change and a shift in my life that I'll never forget. I'd never felt love like that. It's super special to see him and hear him cry and know he was okay. And Amber was pretty juiced up from the surgery. I may put a picture up. We'll see in post-production of that, but I'm not even sure at first if Amber realized that we were going to do skin on skin, but they had her so numbed up, she was having a hard time breathing.
Yeah, like my epidural had passed my lower part of my ribs, and so I was having a hard time just concentrating on taking a deep breath, and kind of in the middle of it, not being able to tell them that, and my arms being strapped down for blood pressure and IV, and only having one arm available, and making sure like I couldn't feel him on my chest, and worried that he was going to roll off, and then also trying to maintain breathing. And it was a lot, and still in that headspace of like, I cannot believe I'm having a C-section right now. It was,
yeah, so you weren't able to really, really enjoy that moment until
not the way
hours.
I wanted to,
right.
But it was, I definitely do remember it, and was very joyful and
Well, yeah, and a
all
couple hours
encompassing.
later, that was a lot different. Once everything kind of settled,
Yeah.
and we had the room to ourselves and had him with us. It was just amazing. So, obviously that was a big change in our life, and a positive change, one that had me calling people and friends of mine that I'd given hard time over the years that had made decisions
For their
families, while Amber and I were running around gallivanting, and just having a good time.
If we are going to talk about hard things, I think you were ready to have River. We never wanted to have any kind of like a medical intervention or anything. If it was in God's plan for us to have a child, then, we would. But we were like within a year of what our cutoff was of like really preventing having children at all. So River was definitely supposed to be in our lives. But there was some loneliness in my pregnancy when I felt like I wanted to nest with you, and I also felt like you had a ramp up of like I gotta be more and I gotta do more and I'm about to have, and so you put more pressure on yourself. You also wanted to kind of, I think, run a little bit from responsibility before he got here. So I mean, I can recognize what that was, but did feel a little alone during pregnancy. And I had just had my party, with all of my loved ones, for, the coming of River and my baby shower. And like literally the weekend before, and trying to get Trent to kind of help me with the nursery and get it together literally happened the weekend before he came. And we thought we had another 3 weeks, but that wasn't a fun memory. But it's in the past, and I think life happens, right? We've talked about priority before, and just have to recognize what that is for your person and yourself. So.
For sure. No, I missed a lot of special things over that time. I think I've talked about it quite a few times that, I really thought I was doing the right thing in a lot of ways to provide for our family. All of that came down to that moment, in the hospital when I thought I was going to die. And the realization that I had invested so much time in trying to make sure you were taken care of, and River was, that I really, I didn't spend a lot of time with y'all, which would have been the most important thing. And that's all I really wanted at that moment, was more time with y'all and not so much worried about the other stuff. Because like I said, there was not any amount of money that was going to save me in that moment. So that was a hard change, but we're kind of getting ahead a little bit, because I wanted to just lightly touch, and we can have another session down the road about it. But you did get sick.
I did get sick.
Yeah. So year of the COVID, among all the things that changed, work stayed the same out here for me. I was super busy. Was in the middle of, I think, starting another business. In the grind, Amber had her business, and she got sick in a way that ended up putting her in the hospital while we had River, and he was, how old was River?
About a year-ish.
Oh, no, he was more than that. We had him in 2017, so
year and a half. When
you first got sick.
Yeah, because it's like I had to let my lease play out for the spa before I could really completely let it go. And then that ended up being 3 months earlier for that lease because of just issues with staffing.
So next big change in our life. We thought we had it figured out. We kind of on a roll again. Obviously, I wasn't there. There was a lot of stress going on, which ended up being cause of, I believe, a big part of the cause of my stroke. And I believe it was a big part of the cause of your sickness as well. Just a huge amount of stress, undue stress. It was brought on by business and by me. Stress on her body by River at no fault of his own. Just something that happened. But I'm going to leave that up to Amber if she wants to talk about that. I think we could probably almost have a whole nother conversation about just that time. But it was debilitating. It changed your life.
Forever.
Yeah.
Changed my life.
That's right. So that was our first change. And I wasn't there like I should have been for that as well. I know.
Give all the mamas the support that they deserve when they come home, that they're trying to. It's weird. You forget about your own body's wants and needs, and you're just all in for your child. And I think that, I was lucky to have family around me. Sometimes you only want the person that helped you create this child to be as in it as you are. And I think, ideas of men and women's roles in the household, if you want to even consider it a little bit like, generational or traditional thinking. We definitely weren't a traditional household. So I just had a lot on my plate, and I was more concerned about River than I think myself, and also running the business that was stressful. I had 12 employees, and all I wanted to do was be home, but I had to worry about that. And then, he wasn't the best sleeper. So I think that was a huge factor into me not being able to recover on a nightly basis. And then Trent maybe having a little bit of jealousy why I wasn't in the bed with him, and, having to share me after 10 years of being together with another little person. I don't think that there's a this too shall pass moment, that should have happened, where it's like, he's not going to be this needy forever. It'll change into some other need, guarantee it. Because I think just as soon as a parent, I think as soon as you get a stage in life with your child, they change. And that's just the wonderful thing about growing up and that God gave us, but also the tough thing about growing up and what God gave us. So
I think people always say, enjoy it while it's there, because it goes really fast. And when you're there in the moment, you just don't really take that to heart. I mean, now, fast forward 8 years, it has gone by super quick. We spent a lot of time looking at pictures of him when he was little, and gooing and gawing over, how cute he was and how little.
Yeah.
And all of those stresses and the late nights and times that we stayed up crying ourselves because he wouldn't stop crying, that's all gone. Those times don't stick with you. It happened. You grow from it, but it's not the important part of what you remember of them. So for anybody that has a new child or is planning on having children, that's just a little insight from us.
Love it for what it is at the moment, because it will change soon, and it might be a little longer than others, shorter than others. I think that, gosh, I would have it back. And you talk to parents that are like, I wish I could go back to those baby days, and each stage has, its hard times, but they're all good times. And I'm super type A personality, so I can be hard on myself, and I want things to be right, and I'm a planner, and I'm all these things. And I think if we had time to have another child, or had River earlier, and we'd had a second child, I would have just been more relaxed with the second one and let a lot of things go. I think then, it would have, there's a lot of more things that, hindsight, right, guys? Like, you can't, that's another thing about like not changing anything.
I mean, we started the whole conversation off of not dwelling on those things, because we can't change that. And he's come out fine. We're still going to make mistakes. I think I've said it. Most people have probably heard it, but we may, if we get lucky, have 9 more summers after this summer with him. When you look at it that way and start saying, I got 9 more chances to have uninterrupted time with our child, time to be able to spend directly with them, no school, and I don't even think 9 years is realistic. Because as soon as he's 16, he's going to be invited to go to do other things and all that. So we're really looking at maybe 7 years.
It's sad.
Yeah, and when you look at it that way, then it becomes even more obvious that you need to enjoy the time you do have. And I don't think that's just with him. I think that's everybody.
I think that spending time with your spouse and not losing that connection. I also think, the time and memories that you have that you make with your family will only strengthen the bond that hopefully your child just won't run off and not want to hear your voice at least weekly. I'm really trying to make sure that, River and I always have that connection. I want to be the mama that he talks to a couple times a week if I can, if he wants to.
So I feel like we kind of got hung up on River, which is fine. We both love him very much, and it's just a constant thing. Yes,
yeah.
He is. He is just us and him, in the Lord. To kind of pull it back in, so that was a change. We've learned how to deal with that sickness that you deal with now. Figured out what was going on.
Which can still derail a week. I just had a week that was kind of knocked me down, and I know I just need to rest and feed my body what I need and just do some extra self-care that will get me back up and going.
So lots of life changes. Lots of life changes really fast during that time. That's, and this is years before my stroke, which was another change.
Yeah, and COVID was happening at that time, which is a huge change for everybody.
Yeah, so we ended up shutting down your spa while you were sick. That was another change.
It was a huge change, but a blessing in more ways than one, because massage was one of the last trades to come back.
Yeah.
But even, now I have an autoimmune disease, and you're undressing in the carport before you came in. My family was wiping down groceries, and, what a blessing that it never came to our home. We've never had a COVID shot.
Well, Mom and Dad both had COVID, and just, but we were just blessed. Honestly, we got friends that have long-term illnesses associated,
but it's never come to our house.
No.
Which is awesome. But
so I don't want to get hung up on that too much, because I do think we could probably have a whole nother conversation just about that, and I want to, because that whole situation is I hate to say monster, but it kind of is a monster of its own that we deal with. Right? Is a monster the wrong way to say that?
No,
it's a tough thing.
You have to keep it at bay for sure.
Yeah, and it's when it does come, it's pretty unrelenting, and stops everything dead in its tracks. This is why we ended up deciding that the small business is shut down. So, just to put that into perspective, Amber was still dealing with that through my stroke, and trying to finish that project, it's unfortunately stress makes it worse.
It was the whole project, pretty much. It was the whole project.
Yes, the whole project. No, and I think I've said that, but for anybody that hadn't tuned in, I stroked out. The last picture that was on my phone was of the dirt work being complete and us being ready to start doing concrete. So she had to take over from that point. And with what she deals with as far as her illness goes, stress is a big time trigger for it. And she made it through not only that, me having a stroke, taking care of our son and the project. God protected our family, and we do have a very strong family unit. I think I say it a lot is that you're not alone. The reason that I push for what we're doing with the Broken Road Project and all of that is because I did realize through that process that there's a lot of people that are fighting the battle and they do feel very alone. But not only are we available there for them now, God's always there. And I think that's the biggest thing for everybody to realize is that he's walking that walk with you. The enemy comes to steal, kill, and destroy, but he doesn't. So change can be a thing of growth. I definitely have grown from that change and the sickness. Still growing, still changing, still learning things.
I think having faith in the Lord and that He's got your back and He has a plan, even when you can't see it, and you thought, "Gosh, Lord, how much more can I handle? What is your plan for me?" And just having faith that He's got you in His arms and He's going to bring you through it. Because Trent was a survivalist before the stroke happened, and was kind of planning for a lot of things. We were paying off a lot of things because we just didn't know the state of the world and what that was going to be. And we had no idea that really we were setting our family up for what we've been going through in the last year. We couldn't have been in a better spot that Trent helped us to get in, and us again paying off bills, but then bringing him and his dad closer together, because gosh, that was a blessing so many times over. We had some issues in our relationship that we're still working through, and I'm not sure that had the stroke not happened that we would have. I'm not saying that I'm not guilty in anything, but I think Trent had a lot of things that he needed to look at, that he needed to change for us to stay together, for both of us to be happy, for, it's okay to talk to somebody if you need to talk to somebody and work out and figure out what you need to change to be happy. So it's not lost on me that I also just didn't know if I was going to be able to work after my health situation, and kind of had a lot of things playing in my head that told me I couldn't and I wouldn't ever be able to handle anything like that, to being forced into that situation and recognizing that I very much could do hard things in business and personally. And it's all the changing your mindset on what it is. And I never let myself get negative about it, because it's all in God's plan. So, and I can't be negative about what God's plan has for me and for my family.
But change is just not always easy, and it's not going to be. It's probably one of the hardest things. Like I had something written in here. I think this is a good point to talk about it. It's a quote from Ernest Hemingway. It says, "The world breaks everyone, and afterwards some are strong at the broken places." So we're talking about, the brokenness that you experienced and the change, and the places that it strengthened you. For me, and we talked about some of mine, I was definitely broke. I was a very prideful person. The humility was kind of low on my, I thought I was humble, but I found out through this experience that I really wasn't as humble as I thought it was. And I want to hope and think that, that that pride did get broke. And that's a place that I've grown back together, and I'm growing back together in a stronger way, with hopefully a little more meaning to life than what I thought was so important.
I think it was a lens that you looked through life, through it, and looked at life as. And I think when you start to pull that lens away, you want to put those glasses back on occasion, but I think when you start to pull them away, then you start to kind of realize what it was and what it needs to be. I actually have one from C.S. Lewis, which is actually kind of one of our more favorite authors. He writes about all kinds of things, and until my adulthood had no idea on all the different things that he wrote on. But this is what we're focusing on right now, because we talked about, you can't change the past and you can't dwell on it either. You gotta keep moving forward, and we're definitely trying to do that right now. That you can go back and change the beginning, but you can't go back and change the beginning, but you can start where you are and change the ending. And I think that's a mindset thing too.
I agree 100%. I had something else written here. I have to keep notes. I do forget kind of where we're going sometimes these days. But I noted on here that both of us are very determined and hard-headed individuals. We've always we have our own opinions about the way things need to go, which can be really good. It's also been a struggle for us from time to time to find that center spot. I think that we are spending more time putting God as a focal point at this point, which makes it easier for us to find a commonality or common ground.
But God still gives you will, so you still have to work at it, right?
So my
every day.
question,
I still have to work at it every day for the grace and mercy and just love.
So I'm going to put you on the spot.
Okay.
How can I better serve you as your husband and a partner and friend moving forward? What's something that I can do to... I know there's a lot. Pick one thing and just tell me.
I think through anything, I think that when it comes to relationships, you need to cultivate what you want in that relationship. So you can't, I don't want to be negative about anything, but if you want something, you have to work towards it. You have to cultivate that in the relationship. It's not just going to happen on its own. And especially when you're conditioned to be a certain way in a relationship, it's hard to change. I think consistency, and I think that's for your whole family, not just me. But I also recognize that
item for me right
yeah,
now.
I think that's hard because we haven't been in your shoes with a stroke and what that is. But that's consistency and working at learning what it is to make changes and what those are, and consistency with mood and your tongue. And I think we've all learned that when you have consistency in different things, you start to bring on new habits, right? We learn all of these things. So I just think continuing to better yourself and cultivate in your relationships what you want, and having grace for people, because if you want grace for yourself, then you have to have grace for other people, and you can't put expectations on things and then be upset about them when people don't follow through, because unless those are, if you're in a business relationship, I think that's a different story. You have to set the expectations before you can expect the expectations. I think sometimes in relationships, you just, are just so torn because they didn't do this or didn't do that. And it's like, well, if they didn't know that that was high on your list of importance, then you can't really, you can't really get upset with them for not meeting your goal. And are you meeting your own goal? You also can't be a hypocrite in that conversation either. Yeah,
So
I don't
I'm
know.
gathering from that I feel like you're kind of walking around a little bit, which is okay.
I don't want to be
I know
negative.
this is kind of a hard thing to talk about, but I am gathering consistency, which, like I said, for right now is pretty hard for me because my mind isn't even close to as consistent as it was before.
I don't think it runs linear quite like it used to.
No, and it's not necessarily a bad thing because it has allowed me to look at things a lot differently. But communication, I did take probably the most from that whole thing, and just allowing you to communicate with me and also communicating back with you as well, instead of expecting something without telling you that's something I want. So, and maybe that was a little too much for today to go there, but I did want to ask, what I can do to serve you better. I want anybody watching this podcast or listening to it to know that this is the way that you do have to. These are the kind of conversations you have to have, and I want to be open that it's not easy, it's not perfect, and change is always required, even when you think you have it all together. God will find a way to sharpen you just a little bit more, and take things you thought that you personally had figured out, and fix your eyes back on Him. So thank you for being honest on that. I'm going to give you a chance kind of run with it. I had one more thing here. I got multiple things. We could sit here. I visit with you a lot about it. But another verse that I found when I was thinking about this, talking with you, was Psalms 51:10. A lot of people know this one that read the Bible, but it says, "Create in me a pure heart, O God, and renew a steadfast spirit within me." I think that directly correlates with change, and I relate to it because I do want a pure heart. I feel like that I have a steadfast spirit, but it wasn't from the right spot. So I want to be created new. I want to go. I'm committed to this change, I guess is what I should say, now, and learning the best I can how to grow from it.
Well, I think, the thing about change is that it challenges your comfort level, whether it be, starting a new lifestyle change or exercise, or having that hard conversation that you haven't had in years, but to start a relationship that was lost. I think, changing your mindset is a big deal. I think, sometimes change can include grace for others, changing your expectations, recognizing what those are and what they aren't to other people around you. Just because people don't love you the way you want to be loved doesn't mean that they don't love you with all their heart. And sadly, I kind of had to go by that in our relationship for a long, long time. And I'm trying to change my mindset of that too, and not just be in survival mode, because I very much was there and I'm trying to get out of it. We're kind of still there most days, but we're actively trying to work to be at a better spot, which is all I've ever wanted. And I think I was just met with a lot of adversity on how that needed to happen, and how those changes come about. But I also think from challenges and being uncomfortable, you also have growth, right? Like, it also awakens your growth, though it rarely feels easy. I don't know a lot of moments in life where you change, it's kind of like the path of least resistance, right? Like, why change anything if it's comfortable? But then if you don't, if it's, yeah, but it's, but when you look at what you truly want in life, or what you're missing, or what you're struggling with, it's usually because you need to make a change. But it often, like I said, it often leads somewhere worthwhile, is basically what I want to say to that. And whether you're choosing to change, or you're just weathering it, you have to keep those thoughts with you. And if you don't like it, fix it. And you're the only one that can. So yeah, you have to have courage. And courage is not without fear. I think courage means doing it through the fear of what that change could be, good or bad. Because I'd never thought I'd be talking about a stroke being a positive thing.
Yeah.
But if you don't look at it in a way that is going to feed you in some way, or give you motivation to keep going, the hole that you can go into, and that's with any health trauma or emergency, it's just not going to benefit you at all. It's not going to feed your soul. It's not going to feed the relationships around you.
I think it's important to note that on that, I agree with you. I think it's really important to pray daily, actually, and stay in the Word. People can say whatever they want. This is going out to the masses. I'm not ashamed of saying how I believe, and I probably can almost open the Bible up at any point and put my finger down on a verse, and you will find that verse is talking about adversity, strength, and resilience, and change. And where we need to put our focus, so that there is an answer to that, because it really is kind of a dark place to not have, to not believe, and in the world we're living in today, that's, we're fighting that battle day to day. So many lost people, there's a stigma on Christianity now, that I believe is just part of this world that we are fighting.
I don't think that's new.
No, it's not. I don't think it's new.
I think it's more in your face with social media, and
I guess I'm just trying to make the point that you're right. We do have to make decisions, but I think that it's important that we are praying about those decisions and keeping the focus where it should be as we're doing it, so that we know that that place that we're going is a place that was intended for us. And that alone brings comfort. So anyway, I just wanted to add that to it. I totally agree with everything you said. I really do. Is there anything else that you wanted to kind of touch on today? change?
I don't think so. I think that sometimes you can worry about judgment as well, whether it be the people around you. It could be family members, it could be your partner, it could be your business partner, it could be, but you have to do what's best for you. And if it's better for you to stay home and because there's really something worthwhile you'll be missing other than, being out and with either friends or whatever, then make the hard choices to be home. Also, it's good to go and adventure and come back and have fun things to talk about too. That I think conversation's the big thing that you need to make sure you're having with your people. Hard conversations and the easy conversations that have no place it's going.
No, and I mean, in my closing right here, you kind of just hit the nail on the head, I think. But I just said that I hope we've been able to relate today and show that we are just two people trying our best to navigate life in a way that is humble and honoring to God. And this is a big exposure for us. This is a big step for us to actually put it out and knock some of the shine off and be real about some of the struggles that we've had and are still currently having. And we're doing that because we want everyone to understand that you're not alone in that battle. And social media likes to hide a lot of that stuff. It's very easy. I mean, I could edit this whole thing and make it look like, it was an easy deal, and take out the tears and the harder parts of the conversation, keep it all super positive. But that's not what our goal was today.
It's not real either.
No, it's not. And really, we're trying to keep it as real as we can.
And Trent always is asking me, you haven't gone on and you haven't liked this post and you haven't done that. It's because I've gotten off social media almost since I let the spa go. That social media was involved in how all of that ended. And I need real people. I need real situations. I need real moments.
We're going to pull her back in. I need her help. And the only way to get this message out is through social media.
It is.
I mean,
I'm having to go,
so
yes.
I get it,
I'm having to go back in and choosing what my intake is very much different than what it used to be. So
I mean, how many different things am I doing right now than I was ever comfortable doing before or wanted to be part of, just happens. I'm just saying it because of the social media stuff. I just laugh because I was very anti-media and just all the things that I do now. I never thought I would be volunteering at hospitals and going and speaking with people. I just did not see that. But that change has been good. And I'm blessed to be here and be doing it. Anyways, I think that's a good place to wrap. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I hope everybody has a blessed couple weeks. This will be, what episode is this? 13. So we're kind of moving through them pretty good this year. Way more than I would have ever expected. I want to give a quick shout out to Callie Archer for all the work that she's been doing in the background for the posts, the social media on Facebook, Instagram, the thumbnails for the YouTube, scheduling
just the branding in general.
Yeah, just everything. Super talented young lady. Make sure and reach out to us at the Trent at thebrokenroad.org. And if you're looking for somebody to help you with your social media, that way she can do that. She'll be graduating college.
In August.
Yeah, just here in a couple weeks. Super proud of her on that. Go back and check out her episode. Didn't get a whole lot of views, and I think she has a lot of really good things to talk about. So please go back, take a look at that, like and share it. Subscribe to the channel, all of those good things so we can get the word out. I love you.
I love you too.
Thank you for coming on, and
You're
I look
welcome.
forward to the next time. Peace out.